Okay, this video is part 8, I think, or part 9, quotes from Ayn Rand. We're talking a little bit today about freedom, Ayn Rand's quotes on freedom. Like we said, she had sort of escaped from Soviet communism. They had taken her father's business away from him. They killed the man she loved, and she saw her friends starving to death, a disaster. And she now talks about freedom. She says, the basic issue is only, is man free? In mankind's history, capitalism is the only system that answers yes. That's important to know because a lot of young people are not very educated. There's only one economic system that works, and it's called capitalism, okay? And when you say capitalism, I mean laissez-faire, not when it's rigged and controlled by, a monopoly or something. But when, each guy has an opportunity to work and to be paid for their work. Because the reason why capitalism works is it rewards the individual. Imagine you have two people that own a restaurant, okay? They both provide good service, good food, they'll get more customers, and their business can grow. On the other hand, if you talk about communism, I know a lot of people grew up under communism. You would have a situation where there's a restaurant or a store, and the people would go there, and there would be a sign saying, out for lunch, and they would be back in 50 minutes, and they wouldn't be back for hours. You go into the store, there's nothing on the shelves, and you have to wink at the person and say, well, I've got cash. And they go, well, let me look in the back, I'll see if I can find what you're looking for. And the government in a communist country would give the restaurant, let's say, money for the month. Okay, so the less service they provide, the more money they can keep from what was given to them. Rather than in capitalism, the better service you provide, the better products you offer, the more money you make. So you're rewarded for good effort and quality. Versus in communism, you're rewarded for lying and playing games and nothing much ever happens. Okay. Ayn Rand continues, the common good becomes a moral blank check for those who pretend to embody it. It means that the good of some men takes the precedence over the good of others, while those others are consigned to the status of sacrificial animals. Yep. If one wishes to, it's like, remember Animal Farm, George Orwell, he said some animals are more equal than others. Okay, Ayn Rand continues, if one wishes to advocate a free society, that is capitalism, one must realize that its indispensable foundation is the principle of individual rights. Yeah, they go together. Where do individual rights come from? They come from Genesis in the Bible. Man is created in the image of God, therefore part divine, therefore you should treat him well. In the words of Jesus, that which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. So don't abuse people. Most people are weak and kind of stupid, so it's very easy to abuse them if you want to. So you should not do that. And it requires a moral foundation to do that. If one wishes to uphold individual rights, one must realize that capitalism is the only system that can uphold and protect them. The greatest good for the greatest number is one of the most vicious slogans ever foisted on humanity. If you consider this moral, you would have to approve the following example: 9 hungry cannibals eating the 10th. That's what happens in theoretical, utilitarianism, is that a group comes into power and then they just vote to abuse the others. So it doesn't work. Individual rights is what makes everything work. Ayn Rand continues, America's founding ideal was the principle of individual rights. If a life can have a theme song, and I believe every worthwhile one has, mine is as a religion, an obsession, or a mania, or all of the above expressed in one word, individualism. Okay, sort of like Aristotle. Leonard Peikoff said that Ayn Rand's philosophy is basically Aristotelianism without Greek paganism. Okay, Ayn Rand continues. She says, civilization is the progress of a society towards privacy. Look at the modern world. We're losing privacy. More and more, we're losing privacy. We're put more and more under surveillance. Why do they think they want you in an electric car? Because they can surveil it. They can turn it off externally with a remote control. They can crash you into a wall with a remote control. That's why they want it, okay? Why do you think you can't turn your cell phone on? Because it tracks you everywhere you go, okay? The savage's whole existence is public, ruled by the laws of his tribe. Civilization is the process of setting man free from men. The smallest minority on earth is individual, and if you don't care about individual rights, how can you be said to care about minorities, okay? Capitalism has produced the highest standard of living that man has ever known. Who invented capitalism? It was the Catholic Church. If you read about history, you will see that is true. The Catholic Church had business all over the place, and it's the one that developed capitalism and used that as its policy. It's the one that developed international rights, too, to protect the people in the areas that were colonized, like in South America. Capitalism is a system that made cooperation possible on a wider scale. Capitalism is the only system that can make freedom, individuality, and pursuit of values values possible in practice. Capitalism is the only system that can uphold individual rights. Collectivism is a stampede of losers led by crooks over the good, hardworking, intelligent men of society. In collectivism, what you have is you have a small political party like Communist Party, and then they get all the poor, disenfranchised people, and they say, aren't these middle-class people a bunch of a-holes? Help us to destroy them. So then they get the poor, the youthful idiots to destroy the middle class, and now everybody's poor except the Communist Party. And it does that on purpose, okay? It tries to centralize everything. Okay. Ayn Rand, she says, our first founding father is Aristotle. And she says, the American people are a sleepwalking giant. Yes. She says, the intellectuals are our country's guardians. But most of the intellectuals have gone commie, and they don't care about freedom for America. And, you hear all these college professors saying, oh, we want diversity. Oh, bullshit. Ask them a question. How many conservatives do you have on your faculty? You'll often find it's like 0, that if somebody's conservative in their values and says that out loud, they get fired. Okay, so it's really a communist takeover of the universities, and that's why the universities are going in the garbage can. When a university is based on Christian ethics, it's good because you're obligated to tell the truth. When it goes to communism, all you're obligated to do is protect the party line, and everything becomes lying. That's why so much information has moved to the internet. And how long is it going to be allowed on the internet? At least there's a couple different video channels, so if it gets taken off of this one, you can go somewhere else. But, how long is that going to last? For example, if you want to know male-female relationships, the college professors are worthless. What are they going to tell you? Oh, they don't know the difference between a man and a woman. If you don't know the difference between a man and a woman, how can you give relationship advice, all right? And that's how it is for tons of stuff. You go to a med school, all they know is a drug. They don't know anything about nutrition. Nothing, 0. They don't know epidemiology. Nothing, 0. Well, they don't know toxicology. Next to nothing, 0. Well, how can you talk intelligently about health and disease if you don't know epidemiology, nutrition, and toxicology, the 3 most important subjects? So, anyways, that's it for this session. Hope you found it helpful.